All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday afternoon. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Sorry we were a couple minutes late. Technical difficulties over here. The old man down here was having me freaking out over here. I thought it was on my end.
Moment. And now I can hear you.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I clicked the different intro too, and it went to the other. I don't know what's going on. I thought I'm in a new house.
Maybe it's aliens or something. I don't know what's going on.
I don't either. What I do know is I am Rice, Jason Turner, Michael W., Kim Gold, Lyle, Ricky, Olivia, Sean, Michael Ortiz, MN Holla, Elise, Cam. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. That we do know. Absolutely do not take it for granted. Gyiraszin, we got a great baseball slate today. No garbage pitching like yesterday. We got some big names. We definitely have some warm weather. We got some big totals. Come on, man. Coors Field as well. What a slate we got. How you feeling?
Man, it's a Tuesday. When we're finally turned the corner, it's summer around here. I got to get out yesterday, do a little golfing, suck down some high noons. You know, I hit the ball everywhere but in the hole, Title, but I got to see the whole golf course. It was a lot of fun. Got to talk to all my old squirrel friends in the woods. So, you know, it was a good time. But, yeah, excited. This slate here, you know, we got a couple, you know, we got the 111 whopping total, obviously in Coors. And then we got a bunch of couple sevens, we got even a 6, a couple 8s. So, you know, just kind of looking at team totals. So obviously we're going to see some chalk there in Coors, but you're right. There's some pretty good pitching. And when you start to kind of peel it back a little bit and you're looking at some of these guys, you know, the Webbs and the Peraltas here today that we have, and even Crochet, DeGrom, like Bradley. I mean, you know, there's a bunch, there's some, you know, there's a little concern almost with everybody. But I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite today, actually, up on the hill. But the pricing is going to probably dictate a little bit what goes on. But, yeah, interesting to hear what you think in some of this pitching here. I mean, you know, it looks like when you first peel it out, you're like, oh, maybe I'll just go Freddie Peralta against the shit White Sox. But, you know, then you got DeGrom staring at you at 8,800, which is kind of interesting. But, you know, we're going to pay 10-5 for a pitcher, Crochet, against a low strikeout Toronto team? Probably not. We're going to look at a San Francisco at 9,800, Logan Webb against San Diego, another low strikeout team. I mean, that's the thing I was saying, Title. There's like a little bit going on with each pitcher that you're just not like, you know, totally enamored with them. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting slate. I think it's going to be pretty spread out. Normally you don't really see that as much as you do with the Coors Field slate. So, I think today is, you know, just let your gut roll, jam what you want, and let's see how it works out. But I'm glad I don't have to play 2 of these pitchers over there on FanDuel. I'm just going to roll with 1. But, yeah, definitely an interesting slate here today. And, man, can't get any better, Title. We got some baseball. We got some high noons. We got some safety meetings ready. We're ready to roll. I love seeing that, you know, weekly tweet we put out with all the winners and who won. Man, we had 100K sitting up there on the top this week. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I always like to tell everybody, and no knock against all the other sites. I just like how our site glorifies our winners. We put it all out there, put you out there. I mean, everybody gets to see. Everybody likes to root on the – we don't want to call us our little people, but we're little people. You know, we're not up there playing 10 grand a night. Like, hey, one of us ships 10K. Hey, that's awesome. But man, it's awesome to see that though. Man, 100K, that's pretty sweet.
100%. There was multiple. So Shahil Sub, I might be butchering his name. And if so, let me know exactly how to pronounce it. Been on an absolute heater, and MLB just won 100K. Then our man yesterday, Redmond, won $100,000 yesterday. And our guy Ranger won $30,000 in the NBA streets. What a massive, massive day. Yeah, count all that cheese.
Yeah, just counting them Hyundais.
That's what Ranger's doing. That's what Redmond's doing for sure. That's what we'll be hoping to do today. So a couple things. First, Jake, I just saw Kevin Ross tweet as well. We will definitely be talking weather yes, warm weather, winds are blowing out at multiple parts in the country, mainly the Northeast. We'll get there. And then, yeah, farewell. I mean, it's sad. I was at the game a couple days ago, game 4. Giannis, he's got to go. The Bucks got to rebuild. They ain't going to win nothing. I know they're playing today. It's a baseball show. He deserves better. The Bucks got to restart. That roster's garbage. The coach is garbage. Everybody but Giannis is garbage. So it's sad, Michael. He had a great run. I hope the best for him. And then, we'll get to pitcher in a sec. So a couple things, though, first. Always what I do, I always say, I go to Kevin Ross, weather report. We have 2 things that I see orange. The worst, St. Louis and Cincinnati. Looking at it, though, we don't have to worry about St. Louis, Cincinnati. It's not on the slate. The other one, Chicago, Pittsburgh. We don't have to worry about Chicago, Pittsburgh. It is also not on the slate. The games that do have good hitting weather, Philly and Washington, warm and winds blowing out. We have the Mets. Winds are ripping out to left at 20 miles an hour. And those are the 2 weather games on the main slate, Philly and the Mets out there. Right here, you can see pretty good total right there. 4.8 implied for the Mets, 4.5 for the D-backs. Going over to the Washington, Philly's not even on 2. Oh, that's brutal. This slate. So there's 10 games, but yeah, winds blowing out right here. This is the main game that weather is good on. Other high totals on the slate, obviously Coors Field, going to be the chalk. Pitching's tough, though. Like, if you want to pay up, if you plug in a Crochet, we're going to talk about it, in a DeGrom, it's hard to 5-man stack Atlanta. Colorado, not as much. I do think Coors Field will be the chalk when we go through it. There's definitely ways to get different, though. The Brewers high total, Texas, the Dodgers. And again, pitching will be spread out enough, sorting by ownership, where 10 games, I'm not worried about. Like, if you want to go Bryce Miller, DeGrom, you can get overweight on both of them for sure. You want to go Freddie and Bryce, there definitely you can do that. So we're going to go 8K and above. One thing I want to say, though, yesterday, Hoop, Tambo, and Rio did a roundtable for our Ultimate members. You've been talking about it for a little while. Obviously, you guys know we partner with SaberSim, which is what we're showing. Multiple different packages. On the far right, Ultimate, that is the Sims package, $297 for your first day, then $321. Every month, Rio and a couple other people are going to sit down. You can ask your questions. Whoever was in there yesterday, it's also recorded. Whatever questions you do have, it's not like Rio, what's your process? He's not going to give his exact process. It's the little features, the tools, different things you can do in SaberSim with the fields, with the ownership, contest sims, all of that. So we did post that for free as well. You can find that in our Discord in the announcements. An hour yesterday with those 3 and members talking the round table. Again, it's not always going to be free watching that, but if you want to get it, if you want to check out what you are getting with the round table, you do have to have the ultimate package. Again, Rio, Tambo, Hoop did it yesterday, did a phenomenal job, and you can learn so much. There is so much to learn in SaberSim. It's such a powerful tool. But most people probably don't play hundreds of dollars a week. If you don't, hey, you don't need to. DGen75, usually $99, all of our content and SaberSim. Use the code DGen75, $75 off your first month. That means you can try SaberSim, all of our content, and get in the best Discord for only $24 in your first month. We would absolutely love to have you. All right, Gyiraszin, we're talking pitchers. As you can see here, we got some big names. We got Crochet, Freddie Peralta, Jacob deGrom, Bryce Miller, and our guy Jake said Taj Bradley is his favorite pitcher at 8K. I want you to go 8K and above. I will tip my hand a little bit. This guy, Jacob deGrom, hasn't been the best start to the year for him, and the A's have been hitting, but I'm going to be Jacob deGrom by far, SP1, and bet on talent that way. I still think he got some left in the tank. He's at home, which I like. He's not in that small park. Pretty big favorites as well in Texas. deGrom, by far, my SP1. I want to get way overweight on him. After that, I don't have the strongest leans, though, so I'm going to rely on you. What do you got, 8K and above that pitcher?
Man, if you got a strong feel about deGrom, I mean, that's better than me, because I can tell you, I could literally probably go 4 dudes that you could argue with a round table of 10 baseball minds would argue with you that are the SP1, I think. So I think you could argue Crochet, Peralta, Webb, and deGrom. I think you could argue all 4. And I wouldn't fault you for any of the 4, to be truthful, Title. So I do think all four of them in play, but you just look at the matchups like Taj Bradley, starting out at 8K. I'm just a little concerned about the strikeout matchup he's got there with KC. KC doesn't all strike out all that much. You just kind of look at that lineup up and down. They got Waters at 31%, and then everybody else is in the teens, 18, 16, 15%. I get it. Bradley, 27% strikeouts to left, 25% strikeouts to right. But there just isn't too many strikeouts there in that KC lineup. So you just, kind of moving up the here with Miller. I think Miller's interesting. He sucked last game though. He got pounded last game, 4 earned runs. He had 100 pitches. He just been walking too many dudes for me here in some recent times. So just a little bit concerned about his walks. He had 4 walks last game. But the matchup he's got with the Angels doesn't really all scare me that much. So I think with his price that he's got at 8,200, if you want to get some bats, I think that's, somewhere where I would look. I don't think there's really a pitcher today title that I got to stress out about getting absolutely smashed by today. I think there are some good pitchers that I think have higher floors than they do higher ceilings, I guess is a better way for me to put it. I think there's some safer pitchers than there are pitchers that I feel like are absolutely going to bomb me. But Erod against the Mets exploded yesterday for 19 runs. They probably won't do that again for a while. But Erod's just a consistent 5-6 innings. He's going to be in his mid 90 pitches. His K's been bouncing around 5 to 9. He did have one of the big K games. Erod is kind of way down on my list, so I would just kind of skip over him. DeGrom, as you mentioned. What worried me is his last start, he had 83 pitches. He got in a little trouble, and they yanked his ass. So it's like, man, they yanked him an inning or two early there. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but due to strikeout percentage is going to be there. He's still going to be around a 30% strikeout pitcher. I don't mind this matchup here against the A's.
He threw 96 the game before. He threw 96 the game before, which helps me feel a little better. 96, 87. But yeah, and it was the same A's team. I wanted to ask you that too. Are you advantage pitcher? Are you advantage hitting when you see the same pitcher pretty close together? It's literally last start he saw him. Is there any advantage? I always ask people in baseball, like, you've played ball all your life. When you see the same pitcher, who makes the adjustments more, arm angles? Or is it just a complete wash? Like there's not enough data or anything to really dig into that too much?
I've heard this debate many times over the years for DFS baseball title, and I'll be honest with you, I'm neutral. I wouldn't say or not. I think if a pitcher I think it's a mental thing more than anything else, to be honest with you. Because if a pitcher comes out and just gets absolutely smashed, you're probably going to get well more of a focused pitcher the next time out. So I don't know. I don't have a lean either way, to be honest with you. I try to ignore that, truthfully. I don't think it really matters much.
Makes sense.
It's almost like it's almost like a BVP thing to me in a way.
I agree with you. I don't really weight it too much either.
But moving on up though, we're up here at the top between Webb, Peralta, and Crochet. As I mentioned, Crochet's got a bad strikeout matchup there with Toronto. Peralta here, he's got the White Sox, but man, I wish Freddie Peralta be a hell of a lot better than he's been here recent times. Freddie hasn't been the Freddie that, we've been expecting. He only had 3 Ks last time out, gave up 3 earned runs. He's got a great matchup, but man, I'm just a little concerned about Freddie. But do I think there's 7 or 8 Ks to be had in this game? Yep. So I'm just going to kind of give Freddie a pass because he's been there so often. You look at Logan Webb. Yeah, he's probably, started out as the best pitcher on the entire slate. So, I just don't like the matchup against San Diego either. There's really not too many strikeouts in that lineup either. So I think there's, as I said, you could argue, I think 4 guys to be the SP1 over on DK, and you could probably talk to a few different people. You get different answers. So, I think today is a guy, play who you like. If you want matchups, obviously to me, Peralta has the best matchup, but the other guys, do I want to pay 10-5 for a Crochet against a Toronto team that don't have too many Ks after we just jammed him the last time out when we played. He didn't do too much. He did have 9 Ks. He gave up He walked 5 dudes, had 4 earned runs. He did go 110 pitches, which is good. But, that Toronto lineup, like I mentioned, just doesn't have what I would want to see as far as Ks. I mean, they got Santander sitting at 25%. They got Springer and Kirk at 21%, and everybody else is in the, low teens. So, I mean, that's a reason for concern too. But like I said, I think, just kind of looking at the top tier here, I mean, to be honest, I think that's why you're going to see a DeGrom and a Miller probably a little chalkier, because nobody's going to want to pay up, because there really isn't that high upside, I feel, today. I feel you can go anywhere around that 8K range. We didn't really mention too much about Pivetta, but, I think there's a lot of safe type plays that maybe have a little bit of upside. But, I mean, the guy to me that has the most upside is probably Freddie Peralta, because he's going against the worst team. I think he can get the win. He can get the, on FanDuel, get me a quality start. So to me, I know you mentioned Crochet or DeGrom could be your SP1. I mean, I think Peralta for me would be without the salary, but now adding in salary, I can get DeGrom for $1,500 cheaper, hoping I get mid 90 pitches out of him, which I'll probably get 6-7 Ks out of that. Then to me, DeGrom probably could be the SP1, but to me, Peralta has the better matchup.
100%. So there's a couple things. I do think, and you made a good point, DeGrom, Bryce Miller. If I had to pick a chalk pairing, I do think it's these two, because they don't break the bank by any means. Right now, again, I'm taking the average of SHIPIT Nation and SaberSim's projection and ownership. When we sort by ownership, they are the two highest by a decent bit. And then we have Freddie. That's a $1,500 difference and a $2,100 difference on a slate where there are bats you do want to play. So I do expect DeGrom, Bryce Miller to be the chalk. And again, I'm DeGrom today. With all that being said, Bryce Miller's cheaper, has a better matchup probably. I mean, this Angels team really is not good. Looking at team totals, though, the A's and the Angels pretty much the same. The thing is, Bryce Miller has a better K prop. Both are 6.5. Bryce Miller's minus 125 on the over, the highest on the slate. DeGrom's plus 100, which would be the third highest on the slate. Freddie comes in right in the middle, 6.5, minus 115 on the over. I also struggle when we get below 8K. I don't love many of these guys. And I do think Freddie has 28-point upside. Logan Webb and Nick Pivetta, both in a solid pitching park in San Diego, only 60 degrees. Both have been solid this year. Pavetta's K-prop too actually surprised me on this slate. Let me make sure. 5.5 minus 155 on the over, where you go right to Logan Webb on the other side. 5.5 plus 115 on the over. And then you look right here, Pivetta, Logan Webb, pretty much the same ownership. Projections say the same as well. Give me Nick Pivetta in that spot at home over Logan Webb if I had to pick. Taj Bradley's the one I just really can't get too much if I had to cross someone off. And the reason for that is it's 82 degrees in Tampa. Look at these other places. Excuse me. Look at these other places like Bryce Miller pitching in Seattle. San Diego, it's 60 degrees. We have DeGrom pitching indoors. The Blue Jays with Crochet pitching indoors in a hitter's park. Chicago and Milwaukee, 53 degrees. So it's just by far the best hitting environment when you're talking the pitchers in the 8K and above. So that would be like a 5%. I'd probably cross off Taj Bradley in 20 entry and below because I do like Bryce. I do like DeGrom. Pavetta's my little sneaky one. And it's definitely Freddie over Crochet for me up top. I do get the ownership discount, so I wouldn't cross off Crochet by any means. But, man, I just picking on the White Sox in 50-degree weather, that's something pretty fun to do. And one last thing before we get 8K and below, Crochet right there at 10.5 and Pivetta, 5.5K prop, minus 150 on the over for Crochet, minus 155 for Pivetta. Again, ownership's a little different, but I do think Pivetta is a very sneaky option in the upper tier. With all that being said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think these 6 are clearly better than when we go down below. And I do think there's enough cheap bats on the slate. I do want to prioritize kind of spending at pitching today. Anything else you want to? All right. I know you like Bradley. I'm trying to make some cuts, though, Jake. The Royals aren't good.
I was more giggling about the no dust on those poster frames behind you.
They're just freshly hung up. The wife got the job done when I was out of town. So there's no dust up there right now.
I mean, she got it up, like good angle, everything. I mean, she got you hooked up there. She's got them perfectly. Yeah, you got it going.
She knows what she's doing. I don't know what to do yet though. Like, do I put it over here? Do I put it over here? And I have to flip things.
In the corner. That's how I got mine. It's in the corner. You get you get double side.
Yeah, I'm not as rich as you, Gyiraszin. I can't figure that part out yet. But all right, AK and final thoughts on AK and above. See, now I should never adjusted. And then talk about. Oh no. All right, AK and above. There we go. And then if any final thoughts on what I said to any of that, and then talk about AK or 7.8K and Peterson and below, because I don't see myself really getting to these guys down there much. But Bowden Francis, I would say, would be my favorite. Take it away.
I mean, for me today on either side, I think I would live up here in this tier that we just spoke about. Truly, I think that's why too you're going to see Miller and DeGrom get quite a bit of ownership. I see a couple people mentioning Reese Olson there, down below here. But truly up at top, like I said, we could literally argue 4 dudes to be SP1. And I think, if we had 10 of us around the table that, we're all, really baseball nerds, I think we would argue we'd all come up with different answers, probably ranked in different orders. So I think today that's different from what we normally see. But down below, I don't really see much that really tickles me all that much. I mean, you guys want to mention Reese Olson. But, man, that's my boy. I get it. He's from Detroit. But he's been scaring me a little bit. Man, he has not looked good against righties lately. His strikeouts have dropped significantly. He's not getting ground balls. Houston's a very patient team up at the top there, even though the bottom half of that lineup don't scare me for shit. But I just think there's two up at the top there in that top tier. I think the floors are too high to really take a chance on a guy like Reese Olson today, because the chances of him keeping up with these other 5 or 6 guys you have are probably not that. I think it's a reach. Like, I think you don't need to reach that far. I think there's enough cheap bats. I think I'd rather you go Taj Bradley or somebody than a Reese Olson, to be truthful with you. But, you mentioned Bowden, Francis a little bit. I used him once or twice. His strikeout numbers are just really not there. I mean, really low price tag, 7,300. I just don't like his strikeout upside here, against Boston. Francis isn't really known to be a strikeout pitcher. So I just think today that there's, 5 or 6 guys that could put up a B+ number, A- type number. I don't think there's anybody in the, back in the Spencer Strider days where you had to have him because he was getting 12 Ks every day and start. I don't think that's on the slate today. But I definitely think there's 5 dudes that could get 8 or 9 Ks today. So I think that's what we kind of need to focus on. That's why I went back to the matchup part with Freddie Peralta, as we already explained. But I just think there's too good of options today for me to play down low. I mean, I'm not interested in anybody else. Like, I'm not interested against going against Colorado with AJ Smith-Sawyer. I'm not interested in there. He's got way too high of a walk rate to be fooling with him. In Coors Field, Alcantara, I don't know what the hell happened to him. He just can't strike anybody out here recent times. So, these guys down here just don't do it for me. Gusto, kind of interesting too, but I'm not a fan of that. So for me, as I said, I'm going to stay up in that top tier, and I'm just going to make it work.
Yeah, if I picked anyone, it is Francis. Mainly because there's strikeouts to be had in that Boston lineup. Pitching at home, the problem is he's projected for 13.27. What's his ceiling? 19, 18, which you take any day. But when I do like Freddie, and I do like Pivetta and DeGrom and Miller, and the upside Crochet and Webb do still have, I just don't think. Obviously, if you're building, like they talked about in the roundtable yesterday, if you are playing 40 teams, 100 teams, 20 teams, I still don't even know personally if I'd get there. I like playing a little more tight on 20 teams at pitching when I know I'm going to be spreading out bats a little bit. But the less teams you play, the more stances you have to make. He'd probably be the only one I'd leave down there. Again, because there is strikeouts. Him and Gusto have the same K-prop, 5.5 plus 120 on the over. If you had to pick which one you preferred, Gyiraszin, which one would you pick? I would X out these guys for sure. And I think David Peterson's just priced too close to the Millers of the world. And I'd rather the savings with Bowden that I'd probably cross him off too with good hitting weather in New York. So which one would you pick, Francis or Gusto, if you had to pick?
Gusto worries me. I mean, he's only had his last 3 starts, 72, 68, 80 pitches. That's concerning, especially for me, who's going to be over on FanDuel today. The chances of him getting me that quality start are all not that good. He did go 5.2 last start, and he did actually have a pretty good game. He had 6 Ks. So I think Gusto probably has a higher upside. Gusto does struggle a little bit with lefties. So, man, the Tigers got some smashers on the left side of that plate that, I would be a little bit concerned about. Carpenter been hitting it well. McKinstry's been hitting it well. Riley Green's been actually hitting pretty decent here recent times. So I think that's what worries me. Gusto has got to get through them lefties on the Tigers. He's very good against righties. The Tigers do have some strikeouts there on the right side that we could look. Torkelson's almost 30%. Sweeney can't seem to hit anything. Dingler's 31%. Javi Baez. So, yeah, there's a few strikeouts there. I'm just concerned. If his pitch count was in the 90s and the hundreds, Title, I think he'd be one of the more chalkier pitchers today. Yeah. But obviously he's not. So, but I would prefer him over Francis just because, he could get on a roll, strike us out the side in a couple innings or two. I could see that happening, but it's just his pitch count there for me to get a win and a quality start. It's definitely concerning.
Yeah, and again, you can see that on SaberSim. If you have the starter or ultimate, I believe you are able to see like the advanced things, pitches right here. That's important. 83 when Francis is 7 pitches higher. And again, everyone else that we had interest in the upper tier, all projected for 90+ pitches. So this is kind of, I'll wrap up my thoughts. You can wrap up yours. We'll get to bats. This is how I would have it. For sure, Jacob deGrom, if we haven't projected at 34, I want 52%. Maybe, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a little higher owned, but people are going to mix and match pitchers on this slate. So 52%, DeGrom's by far my favorite. Peralta's my second favorite, 37%, or I would say minimum, something like that. And again, someone's probably like, how do you determine these numbers? Pretty much, I just know I want to get overweight. I know these are my 2 favorites, so I want to get overweight by a decent bit. But I will say, if it was giving me 85% Peralta, I would cap that. So you can do something like this. The reason I don't cap it right away is I also want SaberSim's thoughts. If I have minimum 30% and it gives me 37% exactly, that means they don't love Freddie nearly as much, and they just got there because I'm forcing it. You say minimum 37%, it gives you 85. Well, they really do like Freddie, and you probably didn't even need to put a minimum anyway. And then my third favorite, if I had to pick like a pivot in the range, I think Nick Pivetta at home, solid K prop there, solid pitching weather would be my favorites. This is how my pool would look. And again, like I left Gusto in the pool, but I capped him at 5%. I don't want much. Francis, because I liked a little more, like Gyiraszin would flip these probably. Kept him at 13. I just don't want cheap pitchers too much, but I don't want to completely cross off a different roster construction where you go Bryce Miller, Francis. You're able to get bats that you're otherwise not able to get if I X both out. So this would be my pitching pool probably in 20 entry and below. Final thoughts to wrap up pitching, Gyiraszin, and we're going to talk some bats.
I think it's definitely interesting slate when more we talk about it, because I think pitching could be so different. But then again, Title, if you think about it, if you start with your pitchers today and you end up on the higher end, everybody's going to kind of have the same bats. But I think if you start with your bats today and kind of use what pitching kind of fits for you, I think you'll be better off in making your lineups today. Because if everybody starts with their pitchers and they go high end, you're going to end up with the same type of lineup construction. So I think that is something to be talked about too. But yeah, we got a slate here where, somebody said indica or sativa slate. It's kind of a sativa slate. You got to think about it a little bit. Indica, you can just do whatever. You don't have to think too much. But sativa slate, you're going to have to think about it, put some energy into it. So, we're going to have to come up with our own theory, but, make sure you have a what you think is going to happen. Just don't throw dart throws like I want this to happen. I think this could happen, and go with it. But I think we're going to want some of them Coors Field bats today with some of them Braves. A lot of people are going to want So, yeah, I think paying down and pitching today is probably the better option, as we said, with Miller and DeGrom.
Yeah, and I do think that is the chalky pairing. So, yeah, that was 8 pitchers we had in the pool and 20 and below. And I didn't even love Goose, so I'd be fine Xing them, but I just capped them at 5%. I think on a 10-game slate, 8 pitchers, very, very fine. All right, it's bats times, Gyiraszin. The first team I'm staring right in the soul is those Kansas City Royals. It's good hitting weather. The Royals and the Tampa Bay Rays, Taj Bradley, Michael Lorenzen on the mound. Obviously, I know you're not playing the Rays. People had interest in Taj a little bit. I will say, too, though, looking at the pitcher rankings, we are sharing the Stone. We have the Stone for all sports. I mean, everything you need is on the Stone for baseball, ownership, etc. It doesn't really like Taj Bradley much relative to others on this slate. So I'm glad they're in agreement here. Looking at some of the bats for the Rays, again, good hitting weather. Aranda, 10. We have Brandon Lowe, 35. Morel, 64. We have guys that are graded out okay, but, I mean, not as much as Coors Field and some of these others when we get there. So any Rays for you, and I know you're not playing the Royals.
Definitely not playing the Royals. We know how I feel, but they still only have 4 home runs or something in the last couple weeks, man. They're terrible. But let everybody else keep playing them donkeys. But actually they have, 4 home runs in the last 15 days. Just terrible. Just terrible. But, hey, I'll tell you what, man, even though they're playing in a good stadium, the Rays ain't doing much better. They're literally right below them for slugging percentage in the last 2 weeks. Neither team is really hitting much. Lorenzen is a guy that you don't see him get beat up all that often. And then you got Taj Bradley, the same kind of thing. Even though his game total does have an 8.5 total, I don't like any, even for mini stacks. And quite frankly, nobody really even stands out for me as like a one-off that I'd even consider playing. Both pitchers, to me, I guess I respect a little bit more on the other side. Lorenzen, though, I mean, obviously to right-handers, he's a little he's 16%, 20% the lefty as far as strikeout goes. So, I mean, if you wanted a righty, I mean, maybe you could look at Diaz at the top or Caminero, but I just think there's other spots on 10-game slate that we don't got to worry about that.
Yeah, it is interesting. Lorenzen almost looks a little reverse splitsy, but, I mean, his numbers aren't terrible. He throws hard. Rays, this lineup isn't too intriguing. Again, the most intriguing part of it is 82 degrees in Tampa, and the park is small. I don't know. I'd keep Rays open. I think they're going to be pretty low owned, as you can see right here, outside of what? Simpson, Yandy. I never really want to play Yandy. Simpson doesn't grade out too well. So probably more mini stacks, if anything. But there's plenty of other better spots on this slate I'd rather than stacking the Rays. And, yeah, you're never going to stack the Royals. So we'll keep it moving to a very low total in this one. The Blue Jays and the Red Sox, we are looking at, 7.5, 8? No, we're looking at, I believe, 8. Let me refresh this. Anyway, Bowden Francis on the mound and Garrett Crochet on the mound. Do not know why DraftKings is taking so long. There we go. 7.5, minus 115 on the over. Minus 142. The Red Sox, plus 120 for the Rays. Like, Crochet's not even getting enough ownership where you get direct leverage off of it. Like, he's getting some, but Freddie will be higher, DeGrom will be higher, Bryce Miller will be higher. And again, on a 10-game slate, I don't worry about direct leverage nearly as much as I would on a 5-game slate. So there's no chance I'm playing these Blue Jays. Bowden Francis, I mean, he's the one cheap guy that I actually said was okay. There's definitely way better hitting environments than in this game. So it's got to be a full fade for me. I don't want bats. What about you?
Yeah, no thanks on the bats, man. The Blue Jays for me are about this close to becoming in the same bucket as the Royals. I actually think I'm ready to put them in that bucket. So, I mean, they have no power. They just no reason to stack a team that can't get us, 3-4 homers again. I think they got like 6 homers in 2 weeks or some shit like that. So, no thanks. I'm out on them. But I'll tell you, man, sitting here in a game with, Bowden Francis, who, low K percentage, the left side, 16%. Man, these Red Sox, just go look at the team stat. They have absolutely been smashing the baseball here. They got 20 homers. I'm just sitting there looking at these last 2 weeks. They're sitting third in MLB with a 472 slugging percentage. The Red Sox have been smashing the shit out of the baseball. So, if you're looking for a reach on your, when you're multi-entering, I might look at throwing the Red Sox in your pool. I like to throw hot teams and hot hitters in my lineups, and Red Sox definitely qualify for that. So especially here, because Cincinnati's not on the slate, right? And then
No, they're
the
not.
Mariners are also been hitting the shit out of the ball. So, we got two of the top three teams on the slate. No Cincinnati. Red Sox been hitting it pretty well. So, I mean, that would be a reason I'd include them. Other than that, you're right. You're sitting at a total, sitting at 7.5. You got a decent pitcher with Francis. Isn't really too much of a ground ball percentage. He does have a high fly ball percentage to the right side. So, I mean, he could get beat up here. This could be a spot. But, I mean, like I said, I like to chase hot teams that have been really hitting the ball well. And Red Sox definitely qualify for that.
The more you're talking, I mean, again, I probably won't get there too much, but the more you talk about it, they've been really hot, guaranteed ninth inning at bats. Look at the ownership on it and the pricing. I mean, we have two guys, one guy above 5K, Duran, 5.2, Bregman's 5K, everyone else below that. So you could go Freddie, Bryce Miller, even DeGrom, Bryce Miller. I'd be cautious on that pairing a little bit if you're like stacking Coors. You don't have to be cautious on any pairing if you're 5-man in the Red Sox. Again, it's not my favorite spot. It's not the best hitting environments. I think Francis is fine, but fly ball pitcher on a team that's crushing the ball. And this lineup, like I like lineups when you get to the bottom and you still like Tristan Cassis, he has pop. Kristen Campbell, absolutely good with him. Second base, outfield eligible, would probably play him at second base. Narvaez fills out a catcher spot. Like pretty much everyone but Rafaela in the 8-hole, I'd be good with playing because I don't want to use the outfield spot on him. So, yeah, mini stacks. I'll say mini stacks is intriguing at this very low ownership. Can play them in a lot of chalk, especially the lefties. Yep. That's all I got in that one. We'll keep it moving. 10 games on the slate. Good hitting weather in this one. This is part of what we talked about, like 20 mile an hour winds blowing out to left, 75 degrees in New York. We got the Mets and the D-backs, 8.5 total, -110 apiece for the over and the under. Looking at the favorites, the Mets and David Peterson, -142 favorites over the D-backs who are +120. I mean, Corbin Carroll is absolutely insane. The problem is doesn't have the platoon advantage, and David Peterson is very good against lefties. If you do play him, you want the righties, 61% ground ball rate against lefties. And yeah, when I do play the D-backs, I usually want to play Corbin Carroll. Gurriel, Grichuk, Eugenio Suarez has always been known as a lefty masher. I'd be good with those guys. Not sure how much I want to get to the 5-man stacks. And man, you talked a little bit about Erod. He's been fine. It is good hitting weather. The Mets have a good total. But these hitter rankings outside of Pete Alonso, they do not like the Mets at all today. So curious to hear your thoughts on this one. Again, one of the better hitting environments on the slates. But I don't like lefties against Peterson, and the hitter rankings are scaring me with the Mets. With all that being said, ownership does look to be staying in check very much so.
Yeah, the Mets, man, you look at the bottom half of that projected lineup, and the Mets is just puke. And the top half, obviously Soto being a lefty against Erod isn't really what we want either. So, yeah, Erod just he's a pitcher that you don't really want to go after. He's not going to have too many bad games throughout the year that he's going to get beat up. And the same thing for Peterson. I mean, you're sitting here at an 8.5 total. I'm sitting there looking at this one thinking, man, I think I'd like the under in this game. But yeah, I don't really want to attack either side of the pitching on this side here. So no thanks. I'll pass.
No thanks. You'll pass. Sounds good. Before we do get to the next game, appreciate everyone hanging out, all 150 of you. All we ask is the like button, subscribe button down below. It helps us out very much. Bringing you shows every day on this channel. We had Hoop and Tambo go live earlier, talking some golf. Hey, still golf going on, NBA playoffs, and that does start early today, 6 Eastern. So make sure to get in the NBA streets. Contests are filling if you do want to join. MLB, of course, MMA, plenty of weeks to go. NHL playoffs, NASCAR Sundays. Look at that. So many sports still going on. So much money to still be made. Bringing you free content. Appreciate everyone hanging out. If you do want to join, of course, DGen75. No better deal out there. Usually $99 for all our content for SaberSim and the Discord. Take off $75, only $24 for your first month. Definitely would love to have you, and do get in the Discord if you do join. Brew Crew and the White Sox. Bryce Wilson and Freddie Peralta. Looking at the total in this one, 8, and it's favored to go under at -115. Brewers massive favorites at -270. I like these Brew Crew, man. I think I can play them 1 through 9. I'm looking at ownership. They're going to get some, but I mean, Coors Field's definitely going to get a lot more ownership. I don't mind pairing Freddie Peralta with some of these Brewers. The little correlation. If the Brewers put up a lot of runs, Freddie's more likely to get the win. It matters even a little more on FanDuel. These White Sox are garbage. No bullpen. Bryce Wilson's nothing. Brewers can steal, have some pop in their lineup. Not the best hitting weather, only 50 degrees, not much wind, but I mean, I'll pick on the White Sox any day. Brewers one of my favorite stacks on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it thinking, peel back that Coors Field game, the Brewers might be my favorite stack, actually. The Brewers haven't been hitting as well against lefties as I would like to see, and I've been reading. I was looking around today, fishing around in some of the baseball. I follow a lot of the beat writers, and they were talking about the bullpen game, and it sounds like the White Sox are going to be firing up some lefties today. So, the White Sox and lefties, and then Brewers and lefties haven't always been, so fruitful so far this year. So I think, that's my little concern. But man, this White Sox team just sucks, man. Like, how is it going to work every day knowing that you're probably going to get your ass kicked? On top of the fact you got to drive in the shittiest part of Chicago to get to pretty much where you need to go. So, and I was at that stadium a year ago. I know what it's all about. I wouldn't want to go there on a regular. No thanks. I did walk around it once, title, and got a little safety move. But either way, man, I think the Brewers here in a good spot. You could play them all. I prefer the righties a little bit over. But, man, I think the Brewers in a pretty good spot. So, for me, I think other than the Coors Field, I think the Brewers is probably where I'd end up going.
So there's not going to be like a long reliever that they've mentioned. I haven't seen anything about it either. It's just going to be straight bullpen, like 2-3 innings for some of these guys. And it sounds like they're going to have a couple lefties that are going to come in pretty early. That's how it made it sound.
Yeah, I just heard they're going to have an opener, and then it's going to be the White Sox bullpen. And I heard that, that they might see their left. They're going to focus on the lefties today against the Brewers. So I don't know if that's their plan of attack here in this pitching chaos kind of game that our manager here in Detroit likes to call it, pitching chaos. But it sounds like he likes the matchups on the left side against, with the left-hander against some of these Brewers from the way it sounds. So sounds like he may lean a little heavier on there. I mean, we might only see an inning or two and might get 2 or 3 of them. I don't know, title. It's just that's what I heard. But regardless, I don't respect that bullpen of the White Sox at all. And I like I said, I like the Brewers. Probably you take out the Coors Field game, I think the Brewers would be my favorite stack.
Yeah, I still like him a good bit, but like a Turang, I definitely have a lot less interest in Turang. Yeah, it doesn't hit lefties. Well, usually he's in the 9 hole when they do face lefties. Churio looks phenomenal. Like definitely am good playing Yelich lefty. Contreras has power. Rhys Hoskins hits him well. Definitely could still play him 1 through 9. And that's a lot of the stuff where I would rely on SaberSim. Like if they're still playing a decent amount of Turang, he's going to be low owned, but he's the one I think takes the biggest downgrade. Also, I mean, you want him to steal when he is on, always harder to steal, or usually harder to steal against lefties. So yeah, I still like the Brewers, but Turang would get a little downgrade for me. Good little info there. Couldn't imagine playing the White Sox. My granddad used to pay kids to wash his Cadillac in the 60s at Comiskey, so the tires would be on it. Not much has changed.
Well, they used to do that here in Detroit. My grandpa took me down to games and be giving a kid 50 cents or something to watch my car, kid. And then, honest to God, them same kids would be sitting there when the game was over. And then the next time we'd go, he'd park in the same spot and give the same damn kids 50 cents or $1. It was that happened here too.
That's cool. Those kids were grinding for some change. What's going on, Jacob? Who else we got here? Devin Davis. Appreciate it. Appreciate everyone hanging out.
Hey, real quick, I got to give you all out there in Wisconsin a little kudos. You tried to keep up with Detroit in the draft.
What you mean?
We got a little more fun, but you guys did great. I think you guys did really good. And I do got to laugh at Terrion Arnold when he went up there to draft the Lions pick and said, last year I was at the draft and I was crying that the Packers were going to draft me. Then the Kings of the North, the Detroit Lions, come and rescued me. That's what he said. I busted my ass laughing. I laughed so hard at them. I'm like, that guy loves talking shit, and that's what it's all about. It's supposed to be fun. Like, it's fun.
Do you
But
see what Clay?
honestly, it looked like a pretty cool time. Good fun. Did you get to go down there at all?
I was there Thursday. I was there Friday. I was there Saturday. I was there every single day. Also, I'm not sure what you mean. Detroit did it better. I had the time of my life. I mean,
well, maybe next time you come to the Detroit one.
605,000 people I saw got out there that week at Lambeau and around Green Bay.
It's cool what the drafts become, man. You see these old draft videos, like they used to give their little note cards and shit, and they used to have to fax them in.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's so different. But I laugh my ass off, and I know I might get some shit here because everybody's sensitive these days. But when they prank called Shadir Sanders, I laughed my ass off. I thought it was one of the funniest things. I get it. But, dude, when you are subjecting yourself, when you're standing out in the field, holding up your Rolex, telling everybody I'm better than you, and then you get punked and you want to be crying about it, or everybody come to your defense, get out of here. I thought it was pretty funny. They did it to a few other kids. They did it to that receiver, the D-back on last year.
Cooper DeJean.
On the Eagles, nobody seemed to give a shit. But, I mean, come on. We can have some fun nowadays. I thought it was pretty funny. But, I mean, you know, shame on the dad for giving the kid that. I mean, that's like giving the kid keys to your Corvette and going on vacation and saying, don't drive my car, kid. Like, come on.
Yeah,
who should know better? Oh,
wow, you guys did. Second in attendance, we had Detroit. Detroit won it. I didn't know that. Fair enough. Fair. Hey, what's cool? Like with the bars and stuff we're at, free shots just lined up. Green Bay.
Damn.
All drinking. I mean, that is Green Bay, but live music, some classicals, man.
It looked like it was in a big parking lot like thing where it looked like you had a stage and it was a huge field like behind it. It was
by Titletown.
Set up well.
By Titletown. And last thing, did you see Clay Matthews on day one?
No.
He said something about don't people don't get too mad, but he said something like Trump daddy or something. Talk to me. I talked to him earlier, and he had a message. The Bears still suck.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That was good. That was good.
That's one big thing everybody says in Detroit, that fuck the Bears, they say, actually.
Fuck the Bears. We
actually had a pretty big social media giant here that was all Detroit sports. Unfortunately, his name's Andy Isaac. He passed away like 3-4 months ago, but a big, huge influence here. I got to meet him when I worked at a sports network here in Detroit. But that was his favorite line, so it's kind of picked up more steam since he's passed away. But, man, we all agree we hate the Bears. And the Bears think there's some shit going on over there. I got news for them. Dan Campbell called the plays pretty much for Ben Johnson. He's the one that handed them all. So we'll see what happens if he knows how to fix the rest of the team when the other parts of the team are failing. He was just a offensive coordinator for a while. Don't mean he knows how to fix special teams, defense. So good luck.
I don't know, Gyiraszin. I think the Bears are going to be pretty tough. I mean, that whole division's tough. But, all right, we talked enough about that. It was absolutely a blast. I was at the draft every day. But we're back to some baseball. Texas Rangers and the Oakland A's. We are looking at a 8 total in this one, minus 118 on the over. Yeah, I mean, I'll let you talk about the Rangers. I already talked about DeGrom. Absolutely love DeGrom. What are you doing with the Rangers today?
Well, I think we see this Jacob Lopez here's pitching. I think he's only going to go probably one time through the lineup. I would assume you might get 3 innings out of this cat. So, I think they're going to end up with a bullpen game. Over time, to be truthful, unless it's a shit bullpen like the White Sox that we just talked about, there's times I just get concerned when a manager can play matchups. So, the A's bullpen, they're not the greatest, but they're average. I just feel as if when you can start playing matchups, it does concern me a little bit. But Lopez, if you just looked at him, he's a fly ball lefty that, you might want to look at some of the righties like Berger, John Garcia, Langford. I think those are all good plays. I just don't know how long you're going to get this matchup against this Lopez. And then you're just going to get 3 or 4 relievers that they're going to be able to play matchups. When you look at it, I think it looks really intriguing. But when I start thinking about like playing the matchups, I think it could end up being a frustrating night if you end up stacking the Rangers. But if you like the Rangers, I wouldn't fault you. I just have a little concern with it.
Yeah, I agree, because it looks like you're probably going to get 2 to 4 innings. He went 26 pitches, 21 pitches. and 41 pitches in his first 3. The 41 pitches when he did the most. He actually had a solid game where he was getting hit around the other ones. But like, I'd rather pick on the pretty much like the White Sox, what we just talked about. Hey, bullpen game for the White Sox. A's is going to be pretty much a bullpen game, but the White Sox have a way worse bullpen, and you get guaranteed 9th inning at bats for them. With all that being said, I mean, look at the prices though. Obviously, no Corey Seager. He's expensive. He's great in the lineup. I don't like seeing no Seager. But man, if you want to play even Crochet, Freddie Peralta, you can play any 2 pitchers you want. You're not getting too much ownership. You're getting a high team total, and you're getting very cheap bats 1 through 9. So I definitely like the Brewers more. I definitely like Coors more. But I think the Rangers have to be in play, and you can get a lot different roster construction at top of pitching. You can get expensive mini stacks. You can go Altuve, Yordong, 5-man Rangers, Freddie, Crochet, little things like that people will not be playing. So I definitely like Brewers more though. But Rangers against the bullpen, I would prefer the righties. Langford, Adolis has pop, Jung, Semien. I'd focus on the heart of the order probably, since it's not getting enough ownership.
Has that Rangers lineup come out yet?
Let's see.
I don't think it did.
No, I have not seen the Raiders lineup. Nope, not yet. All right.
I'm just curious what they do without Seager, who they put in the 2-hole. You guys all should know by now. I love to follow who's been in the 2-hole, who's coming in out of the 2-hole. I think that's where managers like to put their better hitters. I mean, I think I tweeted out the other day to bet a +2 bases on Correa when he was betting on the 2-hole. I like the home run too, but dude, first at bat, he hit a double. I was like, that's it. Thank you for that one. But yeah, I think, watching that 2-hole, I'm interested to see who's going to be in the 2-hole for this lineup tonight for the Rangers is what I'm getting at.
There you go. Gyiraszin is absolutely, I mean, if you've watched the show last year, even watched the beginning of this year, people that move up to the 2-hole, Gyiraszin gets rock hard for it, and rightfully so. They usually do some damage when they get moved up. All right, this one, not much interest for me. Astros, Tigers, Gusto, Reese Olson on the mound. Low total here. We are looking at 8, -112 on the over, -125 for the Stros. Tigers +105. Like Gusto, you definitely would prefer targeting the lefties. Carpenter, McKinstry, Riley Green. I mean, they've been hitting the ball a little bit. They're cheap. They're going to be low owned. Guaranteed 9th inning at bats. I don't hate a couple of them for a one-off or a mini stack. No means am I 5-man in the Tigers, though. The Astros, I mean, Altuve, he moved up 2-hole. He's hitting the ball well. Yordong looks way too cheap. 3,200 on FanDuel. He's been too cheap on FanDuel all year. Like a free square most of the time. In cash, that is. No such thing as a free square in GPPs. Yordong below 5K, you don't see every day. I respect Reese Olson as a pitcher. I think you can go either side mini stacks, though. Lefties, Tigers, mainly Altuve, Yordong in this. But yeah, I mean, look at neither team has above 4-run implied runs, so I don't want to 5-man these.
No, but as you mentioned with them Tigers.
Oh, it is out. Josh Smith, by the way. Josh Smith is in the 2-hole.
All right. I kind of thought maybe they'd move somebody else in there, but I don't mind that. I was kind of hoping like Wyatt Langford would be thrown in the 2-hole. That's kind of what I was thinking about. Maybe Adolis because he's been hitting a little better. But, yeah, this one here, low total, I don't really like it. Olsen, though, does struggle a little bit with the right side. But that Tiger bullpen behind it's pretty good, so I'm concerned about that. Olsen's more of a ground ball type pitcher. He just hasn't seemed, they were just talking about that on the radio today. His ground balls haven't been there. He's kind of been getting hit hard the last few starts. But the kid's still a great pitcher. His ERA is under 3. So, I mean, it's not like he's been getting beat up. He hasn't got beat up yet, really. So, I think that is concerned, but maybe some one-offs if you wanted to pluck one. As we mentioned before with Gusto, does struggle a little bit with lefties. I mean, you got a bunch of lefty power with Carpenter, McKinstry, and Green. So definitely if you're looking for some one-offs, you could maybe go there. But I think there's better spots to be worrying about bats in this one.
I agree with you. I was looking back at the Texas lineup. They moved Higashioka up to the 3-hole. He's going to probably get that's almost a spot where his ownership jumps so high.
I thought he might be in the 2-hole too. I was thinking him, Langford, Adolis. I was wondering that's why I was curious who was going to be in that 2-hole.
Langford's leading off. So I'll read the lineup. Langford, Josh Smith, Higashioka, Jonah Heim. So you have to pick which catcher you want to play. Semyon, Jung. Man, so they got Adolis in the 7 hole. That lineup, Berger in the 8 hole. I mean,
that's a good.
I
That's
like that lineup more than I thought. There's no Nick Ahmed to worry about. I do like having Jonah and Higashioka both at catcher. And like Jonah for 1,300 more, he has to be a fraction of the ownership. And it's not like this team's even getting too much ownership anyway. Only one person 5K, one person 4K, and Jonah Heim, the rest below that. So, yeah, I like that lineup a little bit. All right, we'll keep it going. Coors Field, Herman Marquez, AJ Smith-Schwarber, Rockies, Braves. We're looking at, what do you say, 11 total, minus 112 on the under. Braves minus 218, Rockies plus 180. Looking at ownership in this one, yeah, as you can see, by far the chalkiest on the slate are the Braves. I think rightfully so. Can play them 1 through 9. It's just when you play them, think about maybe getting different at a pitching spot, maybe getting different in a mini stack spot. Rockies, I always like playing the opposite side of the chalk in Coors. And you look at it, they're definitely still getting a little ownership. Still good hitting weather in Colorado. Hunter Goodman just bombed yesterday. McMahon looks solid. The problem is the bottom of the order is trash. Can we get to some of these Rockies?
I would play some of these Rockies. I mean, I mentioned it when we were going through the pitchers. Sawyer, I mean, this guy here's been walking way too many dudes. He's got a really high walk rate. That ain't going to work well for you in Coors. Be putting on free base runners. So I think that is something that we could say. I mean, if you look at the salary side of it, Tyler, you're going to be paying. I mean, Herman Marquez stinks, so we already know that. Braves are going to be mega chalk today. They're going to see a lot of Braves lineups. And I like what you said going the other side of it there with some of the Rockies. Maybe if you wanted to full game stack it, but maybe I'd be a little heavier on the Rockies side is probably what I might look at. But if you do that, go ahead and play with your lineups and fool around with your Rocky stacks and your Brave stacks, and then ask yourself what you got left at pitching, because that's what everybody else is going to have left too. So if you wanted to maybe take a one-off and go with a cheaper bat to get you up in a pitching spot, I think that's what I would probably recommend. If you can find that cheap one-off that you like maybe, or, try to upgrade yourself and be a little different at some pitching. So, but there's going to be a lot of ownership in this game here. It's obvious. It's 2.5 runs higher than every other game on the slate. And we don't have any kind of pitching to be concerned about here. So, yeah, I mean, you all the way up and down this lineup here, I think actually the top half of the Colorado lineup is more what I would prefer. But I mean, even this Atlanta side of this lineup here, I think, you're going to have to think about including Nick Allen's probably the only one I don't like. It just, even as cheap as he is, that's probably the only guy I'd probably shy away. Eli White's been hitting the ball quite a bit lately. I don't mind him at all. So, I mean, you just look all the way at this lineup here. Everybody's going to be in play.
That's actually pretty much the exact same lineup we expected. It is. So, yep, everything that you're looking at right here, let me just make sure. Sean Murphy moved up a little bit. So Murphy's in the 6th spot. Michael Harris in the 7th spot. White, Allen. Yeah, then you're looking at the lineup.
Austin Riley, I mean, they got him in that too. He's been hitting. I mean, a lot of these Braves have been hitting here in recent times. So it seemed like at the beginning the Braves weren't doing shit really. Like they came out sluggish, and I don't know if people just got a bad taste for them or what, but man, I don't know. I think the Braves last year we were on the Braves like they were the greatest thing ever. But I think the Braves here are in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I mean, having Ronald Acuna in your lineup definitely helps that offense, but it makes it a lot cheaper when he's not. Obviously, hasn't been. But yeah, I think this is an interesting way to do it. Like, you stack a full team in the outfield, even if they are the chalkiest team. I think that's a good shout, Jake. That's things that people do not do very often. I like that. And again, why also they're going to be so popular? Like, their prices aren't where they should in Coors Field. A leadoff hitter in Coors, only $4K, just way too cheap. No one above $6K, even in the heart of the order. That's part of the reason. You can easily 5-man. You can go DeGrom, Miller, 5-man the Braves, and still have like 2,300, 2,400 left that you can find cheap bats to fill in the roster after that. So by far the best spot, guaranteed ninth inning at bats, good hitting weather. I always like going to the other side though, to the cheaper side, or to the lower owned side, which is almost always the Rockies. And I'd focus mainly on the top of the order there. Gyiraszin, I'm going to
mistake real quick title that a lot of people make. You're looking at a game with a total of 11. The Rockies probably, I didn't really compare. I'm guessing they got one of the higher team totals than everybody, and people just totally don't even think about them. They just will go to the Braves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I've done a lot throughout the DFS career, and because usually they still have one of the top 5 on the slate, the top 4. It's just their lineup isn't very good. Everyone's focused on the other side. I like playing Coors Field. All right, I'm going to group these two in.
Whiskey and Arenado days back.
Yeah, that was absolutely the golden days for sure. I'm going to group these two, Gyiraszin, because as you can see, a lot of low run totals at night. So the Mariners and the Angels, and then the Padres and the Giants. As you can see, the one team total that's above 4 of all 3 of these, that is above 3.6, is the Mariners. And you did mention they're swinging a hot bat. Cal Raleigh is out of this world right now. And you see they are grading out well in the hitter rankings. You do, looks like, prefer lefties. You want lefties against Jack instead of the righties, but he does keep the ball on the ground a decent bit. This Seattle team, though, they can lift the ball. They're hitting for power. The line was pretty good 1 through 9. I did see Dylan Moore is likely to be on the IL. We don't have a lineup out yet, but look at these hitter rankings, man. Look at the ownership. Mariners got to be up there for me.
You're right. I think the Mariners are kind of sneaky today. We go back to that last 2 weeks. Like I was saying, the Mariners are second in MLB the last 2 weeks with slugging percentage. They also got 23 home runs, which is the most homers in the last 2 weeks. Think about that, 23 homers. I don't even think the Royals have 23 homers all freaking year. But anyway, the Brewers lineup, the Mariners have been hitting the ball really well. I do like the Mariners here a little bit. So, we don't like, obviously, the park, but, you got a later hammer. I think I'd more like probably the Seattle as maybe a mini stack, maybe if you wanted to look at some alternatives other than Coors Field. So, yeah, I'm not the pitcher, Jack here. He don't strike anybody out. They're going to hit the ball. You talk about fly ball rates, which we were talking about. You did mention he's a ground ball pitcher. He's 55% to lefties, almost 60% to righties. But you want the fly ball percentages. Julio, 27%. Polanco, 33. Raleigh, 35. Arozarena, 25. Rayleigh, 25. Tellez, 27. Moore, 29. You got pretty much 8 fly ball hitters here on the Mariners. So I think they could definitely get to him here. You look at the Angels bullpen. The Angels bullpen is the 4th worst in baseball. So, hey, I think the Mariners could get to him here. Definitely could put up some crooked numbers. So I think the Mariners would be kind of my sneaky stack here today.
Yeah, and the lineup is out. Thank you, Tango. And it's the exact same here, except we have J.P. Crawford. So Dylan Moore is not in the lineup. He must be on the IL. Ben Williamson is in for him. And then it's J.P. 1 through 6 is the same. Then it's J.P. Crawford, Ben Williamson, Miles Mastrobuoni down here. I'm good playing 1 through 9. They're going to be so low owned. Prices down there are cheap. I'd let Saber, if I get 5-man in Seattle, I can eat all the chalk that I want. Any Angels, Giants, or Padres for you? All very low totals.
No, I was looking while we were talking there. I can't say anybody really stands out. It's getting to the point, though, truthfully, where Tatis is just becoming so good. Recent times, he's been doing everything. If you wanted to look at somebody like that, you can always play a guy like that. But I think today on a 10-game slate, you're going to kind of have to pay up for pitching. I think if you're looking for one-offs, you're going to have to look for some value. I think that's where we're at today, what we're looking at. But, like I said, I think today I would just kind of build my bats and figure out where I'm at and just go from there. But I think a lot of people are going to end up with that DeGrom, Miller, and we're going to end up with some cheaper pitching. So maybe throw in a higher, get a lower cheaper one-off maybe go minis with some of these, maybe even mini the Braves and go heavier Rockies. I think might be another angle, but man, them Braves are going to be really popular. I think they're all going to be in the 20% or higher, even on the bottom half of that lineup. So, but man, I think the Mariners, like I said, I love playing hot teams, and Mariners definitely, and the Red Sox fit that bill, but I think I'd prefer the Mariners over the Red Sox though.
I agree with you. Mariners, Brewers, Rangers. If I had to pick outside of Coors Field, it would be my sneakier ones right now. We got one game left, though. Again, keep saying it, but I do appreciate it. Every single one watching. The like button and subscribe button helps us out a ton. Late night Dodgers. I know it's not Friday, where Hoop won all of his cheese for a couple of years. Late night Dodgers on Friday, but they're still late night. They're still playing the Marlins. Sandy Alcantara can't strike anyone out. We have the best lineup in baseball for the Dodgers. You can easily play 1 through 9 to make it even more appealing. I mean, they're not getting much ownership. Now, they are expensive, 1 through 4, but then 5 through 9 is cheap, so you can easily mix and match. Like, you could still go Crochet, Freddie, the two highest or price pitchers on the slate, still play Ohtani, Mookie, and 5-man the Dodgers because you can wrap it around, and it's going to be low owned. And again, you can play Bryce Miller and DeGrom if you want to eat the chalk there and pretty much stack the Dodgers 1 through 5. Teoscar homered yesterday. You always have a hard on for Mookie. Tani's the best guy in the game. Sandy hasn't been great. What's the Marlins bullpen looking like? And then break down this, how much interest in the Dodgers. There's no way twice in the last 2 shows with Gyiraszin that he goes absolutely gone. Hold on. We'll give him a second to get in. Well, pretty much I already said what I like. I like playing some of these Dodgers. I don't know about the Marlins bullpen much. I mean, it matters a little bit. Sandy hasn't been great this year. Dodgers lineup so good. And again, the price is 1 through 4. 5 through 9 is not very good. Let me just pull up quick. Definitely a ground ball pitcher. The K stuff's been so down, though, especially against lefties. He's not striking any lefties out. Ohtani looks really elite. I mean, always he is, but he'd be someone, if I am playing the Dodgers 5-man, he'd be a necessity probably in that lineup. Max Muncy, never really liked playing him. He's been bad, but 2,900 fills out a third base, pretty weak third base position outside of Austin Riley. I think he'd be solid. Freddie Freeman right there. Again, I'm kind of stalling for Gyiraszin if he does come back, but I think Dodgers definitely interesting because of different ways you can go about that lineup. You can still play expensive pitching. They have the 3rd highest total on the slate, and I'm definitely not playing any of these Marlins. Well, I'm not sure Gyirazin's going to get here. I have to get our NBA stuff up. Again, 6 Eastern NBA starts in 45 minutes right here. Rio already has a slate playing up. Definitely check that out. The Stone, Core Report, BJ and Rio got that up. I'm going to throw cash up on both sites and Showdown Monday through Saturday. I don't know anyone else that's doing Showdown content out there. Rio as good as it gets. Big boy prizes too. 100K up top. Multiple slates. I think it's 100K up top again today. All the MLB content up as well. Stack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, slate plan. Gyiraszin will get that up. Cash cores on there. Projections, ownership. And of course, SaberSim, which we showed earlier. No better time to get in and join. Usually $99 with our core package. Now take $75 off, only $24. You get SaberSim being able to build 250 teams, see 150. You get late swap, you get the best Discord, and you get all of our content. That's going to do it for us, though. Hopefully Gyiraszin can stick around for the final game next time. 0 for 2 in the last 2. Come on, Gyiraszin. I'm just kidding, though. Hope everybody out there, you guys all have a great night. Plenty of money to be made in the NBA and MLB streets. And check out the PGA show and content as well. Good luck, everybody. Appreciate you. Thumbs up on the way out. Subscribe on the way out. For Gyiraszin, who's gone, I'm Titletown. Be safe. Good luck. Peace.